Aloha everyone, I'm gonna go ahead and share my screen. And so everyone can see our PowerPoint. Okay. Thanks, Jessica. First off, we wanted to just say it is an honor and a privilege to be part of Peerpocalypse. This is our first time here, and we're all excited to be part of this virtual conference. Also, this is our first time kind of doing this all together, so we ask everyone's patience. I actually did want to do a shout out and a special intentions for the folks at Portland, Oregon, and in solidarity, especially what's happening in Portland and all that unrest. We pray for the peaceful protesters and their supporters. It looked kind of scary, like from Hawaii, and when we see it, it's kind of scary about the armed border patrol. And I understand that the Oregon's AGs is filing a lawsuit against the US federal government for armed intrusion in the guise of keeping, the peace and protection of federal property. I just wanted to give a shout out to the folks over in Oregon. Okay, with that, I want to also give a shout out to Jessica. Jessica is not only our room monitor, but as the director of PeerLink, SAMHSA's National Technical Assistance Center, Hawaii is in her region. And in partnership with the Pūʻā Foundation, together we developed a specific peer support training curriculum in Hawaii, which has been accepted by our Hawaii Department of Health. And in December, 10 of our individuals with experience with justice system, trauma, and addiction, along with the Pūʻā staff and folks that we work with, participated in that 40-hour peer training. And so we're all going to be presenting in various capacities today. So one technical thing is we have multiple locations that we're sharing from. So like we said, we're from Oahu. We have a team here. On another location in Oahu, we have part of our team there. And on Hawaii Island, we have part of our team there. So we'll try to coordinate this the best that we can, and your patience in terms of the technical aspects of all of this would be really, really appreciated. Okay, so let's get started. My name is Toni Bissen. I'm the Executive Director of the Pūʻā Foundation. I've been in that position since 2000, and my background is in law and nonprofit management. It's an honor and privilege to be working with our team. Everyone is truly dedicated, giving back, compassionate, working in service, loving and healing. I'm really humbled and inspired by all of our members. At my tenure at Pūʻā Foundation, we're really addressing issues of trauma. What is the underlying aspects that cause justice system involvement, the underlying trauma that really sets out the disproportionality of the representation of Native Hawaiians incarcerated. And at the Pūʻā Foundation, we like to strive toward individual and community healing and well-being. And we call that process trauma to transformation, which is part of the title of this talk today. Trauma to transformation, Hawaii's use of peer support. What you see on your screen happens to be my happy place. It's one of our colleagues, and I'll give a shout out to her, Sister B. She's a Marino nun. And this is from the back of her house. What you can see is the mokes. That's what we call it. It's the mokes. It's actually Na Moku Lua islets. And it's a short way off shore. And sometimes what we do is we paddleboard out to the mokes. But it's really such a happy place. And I have a really quick funny story about the mokes. When Janie and Jessica from Oregon came to go ahead and be with us and do our training and site visits, we were swimming and Jessica got stung by Portuguese man-o-war. Oh my God, it was like, but she's tough and she's resilient, she healed, but that was kind of a fun story. So next slide. I don't know if you appreciate that, Jessica. Okay, let's see, next slide. Aloha from Hawaii, here's our gang. And this is the picture that we took at the end of our December training. You can see Jessica and everybody here. A special shout out to Brother Dennis and our lay Marinist supports from Chaminade. Brother Dennis allowed for us to utilize a very beautiful room for us to be able to train in that. And so we're taking that picture from our training room. And I noticed that Brother Dennis is on this as well. Next slide. Okay, so just as an overview, our time together, we'll talk a little bit about the background of Pūʻā Foundation, background about our work that we started at the prison. We'll show you a video, and then the bulk of our time will be about our peer support sharing their insights. We'll have very specific questions. They'll introduce themselves and share a little bit about their background. We'll have another second video, and then we'll talk about our peer support and housing partnerships. And then we'll go into Q&A. So that's what our time together looks like. So with that, who are we? So the Pūʻā Foundation, we were created out of a nonprofit, we're a nonprofit organization created out of an apology, redress, and reconciliation initiative on the part of the United Church of Christ for their complicity in the 1893 overthrow. And just really quickly, a little bit of background about Hawaii's history. And some of you, some of our Oregon friends or different places in the United States may not know this history, but there was an overthrow in 1893. And we were actually created out of an apology for that. But what was the overthrow? So Hawaii was the first non-European nation to be recognized as an independent sovereign state by the French, British, and the United States. France and Great Britain explicitly and formally recognized Hawaii's sovereignty on November 28, 1843. Some of us actually still celebrate a holiday for that day. And then the United States recognized Hawaii by treaty in December 20th, 1849. As a recognized state, Hawaii maintained more than 90 legations and consulates throughout the world, and entered into extensive diplomatic and treaty relations with other states. The Hawaiian nation prospered and developed as a multi-ethnic country. However, in 1893, there was a group of insurgents that was backed by the US minister to Hawaii who caused armed US Marines with guns and cannons to be landed on Hawaiian soil. And so they came here under the guise to keep peace. And at the time, it was a lot of political turmoil. So when I was writing these comments and I thought about Oregon and what's kind of happening, you know, some of this stuff just kind of continues, and it's really, really historically traumatic. So this action in Hawaii resulted in an overthrow of our Hawaiian government. And at the time, Queen Liliuokalani was head of state. She happens to be my personal hero. And we honor her in our first video, her image. She was arrested. She was imprisoned in her palace, in Iolani Palace, under bogus charges. And this actually marks some traumatic events that really have affected the people of Hawaii, and especially Native Hawaiians. So that's the context which the Pūʻā Foundation comes out of. So our mission is to actively engage, facilitate, and serve communities and their efforts to build a resilient society and improve upon their quality of life through healing and reconciliation efforts that address consequences of the 1893 overthrow. One such consequence that we believe is the overrepresentation of Native Hawaiians in the criminal justice system. And we believe there's a correlation of imprisonment rates and historical and community and individual trauma. Hence, what we focus on is to provide support for those affected by trauma and incarceration, especially justice-involved women and their families. Thank you for letting me share that about us, because it provides, as one of my colleagues, Debbie, teaches me, to set the context, set the table of how all of this stuff works out. So what you see on this screen right now is a little bit about the Pūʻā Foundation. Our tagline is empowering individuals, families, and communities. Our motto is trauma to transformation, incarceration to independence. Our ABCs in 1, 2, 3. We engage in 1, community organizing, capacity building and training. B, we try to connect resources to need, and our Hawaii Paroling Authority talks about providing safe, clean, affordable housing, a livable wage, and healthy relationships. Livable wage for us is the development of the kind of work and leadership with peer support. What we're trying to achieve is reduced recidivism, ending the overrepresentation of Native Hawaiians in prison, and 3, increase services to families affected by trauma and incarceration. So that's kind of a mouthful. I'm just going to highlight really quickly some background and context about the work that really brought us all together. So back in 2008, Pūʻā Foundation was part of a leadership team for something that was called the Trauma-Informed Care Initiative at the women's prison. And it was providing a context to create a pu'uhonua. And in Hawaiian, that's a sanctuary, a place of healing. So a lot of wonderful things were happening, and we were on the leadership team bringing that forth. So since 2008 into the present, a lot of trauma to transformation efforts continue at the prison with efforts in transitional housing and different kinds of partnerships in the community. What you see below is this framework of a pu'uhonua, a trauma-informed care initiative model that came out that we kind of look at. And in 2019, peer support leadership started to develop. And it's been a long time coming, but we're really excited that we're in that direction, being part of the solution. This is just, in the local paper, we kind of talked a little bit about what that is for us. And here is our graduation picture. And another shout out to Brother Dennis and our lay Marinus partners. He provided our graduation to be in a lovely setting called Halimalia. And with that, we're going to go into sharing our first video. I'm hoping this is going to come out to everyone. And then we're going into sharing insights and stories. Oh, nope. Okay, video number 1.
I lift my voice up to my family, whose love I wear upon my chest. This is my gift of love for you, from this land that has nurtured me. It's here in my heart, cared forever by God. Here is my love for all of you. Nake aku ay malamang, e aku aloha ya oko. Here is my love for all of you. All of you. Ilokakuna. Ke aku ai malamama. Here is my love. Hey, aku aloha. Here is my love for all of
Okay, at this point, thank you for allowing us to share our videos. And again, aloha from Hawaii. We're going to go ahead and we're going to ask pointed questions of our peer support team members. And I'd like to call, technically speaking, I'd like to call Kimmy Takata, who's at our other location, to come forward and introduce herself. Kimmy?
Hi, aloha everybody. Did she ask the question? My name is Kimmy. I'm from Hawaii, and I was in prison for a very long time, and I've been out of prison for almost 7 years.
So we'll start with you. Can you tell us a little bit about what makes peer support services different from other types of services?
Yes. Well, what makes it different is that it's a judgment and stigma-free zone. So there's no judgment here, you know, and that helps with our peers to open up to us, because if you've been on the same road, you know, either homelessness, addiction, prison, we all share the same path. They're more open to talking to us, and we're just, you know, there to assist them into a healthy recovery.
Perfect. Thank you. Let's have Auntie Trinidad Ka'ohu, come on down.
Aloha, I'm Trinidad Ka'ohu from the island of Oahu, and I was honored to be asked and invited to this program, before the peer support program by Toni Bissen of the Pūʻā Foundation, before I came out of the Women's Community Correctional Center. And so I did the training with Jessica and Jamie, and I was deeply inspired by the classes to be able to help other people, other peers. And I have a peer now that I'm able to help, and helping her helps me to be better, you know, and to go forward in our life. So I think this program is very important to Hawaii, especially to stretch and reach the mentally challenged people that we have here in Hawaii. So I think this is all important. Thank you.
Auntie Trini, can you answer this question? How does lived experience contribute to services offered? How do you think lived experiences contributes to services offered?
Well, I can only go by my lived experience that I've lived in my life, and that I know that I can be able to share what I've had in my experience with others that have the same experience or have been through the same trauma to transformation that I've been able to go through. So I like that, helping others not only to transform and be better people, but also to help others in this program. So I think this is very important for Hawaii to have.
Thank you, Auntie Trini.
Thank you.
Can we call up Sheila Ako? Can you introduce yourself, please?
Aloha, my name is Sheila Ako, and I've been out of prison now for 12, 13, 8 years now. I've been out of prison for 8 years now, and the drug addiction here in Hawaii is like is out of control. And I was once part of that circle. Today, fortunately, I'm not. And the steps that I've taken to be where I am today is what qualifies me to be a peer support to others that have walked the same road that I have.
Sai, could you kind of tell us a little bit about what inspired you to become involved with peer support?
Well, while I was in prison, I was part of this group called Prison Monologues. And we would have to go to schools to speak to the children and use our creative pieces, creative writing pieces, to share our experiences with them. And these are kids that were caught in the crossfire of addiction. So these kids that we were talking to, if, you know, were like, I was speaking to my own children who also got caught in the crossfire of addiction. So that really, really inspired me to take whatever it was that all that I was a part of in the prison that was helping to reform me. I took it out with me. When I went to the work furlough program, I surrounded myself with others that were like me. So my experience from jail, coming out of jail, and to where I am now is, like I said, is what qualifies me to help those who walk the same path that I have.
Perfect. Thank you so much. Kimberly Jackson. Yourself, Kimberly Jackson.
Aloha, everybody from Hawaii. My name is Kimberly Jackson, and I also was incarcerated a while ago. I've been out for a while, and I currently work as a nurse's aide with the elderly.
Jackson, can you tell us, what does success feel like to you when providing peer support services?
For me, success is when I'm with my peer, and I start off with my peer, you can see the darkness in their eyes. They have no hope. They're confused. They don't know what's going on, or they don't have any hope. And so for me, the success is when I'm working with them, I can see the light come back in their eyes. I can see the happiness. I can see that they're looking forward to something instead of thinking that there is no hope. They just look, and our actions speak for itself. So all they have to do is they look at us and they follow and they get inspired. And for me, that speaks enough volumes. When I get a text from my peer saying, thank you for being in my life. Thank you for today. Thank you. That speaks volumes. That is something that money can never buy, you know?
Thank you. Thank you so much. Sandra Mori. Please introduce yourself.
Hi, my name is Sandra Mori from Oahu.
Opa, what has your experience been so far as a peer support?
My experience has been very gratifying. I wished I had this kind of support when I was out there. When, you know what I mean? It took Kimmy Takata to support me, and to see that, and to have the experiences of being out there and knowing what I wanted, what I needed, not what I wanted, was just somebody to listen to me, and to have a peer to, you know, where you can listen to them and actually know what they feel, because I've been there. So this experience has been very, very touching, very something I wish I had a long time ago, because I always like to help people, and just being able to do this, and it's something that I love to do, because like I said, I always help people no matter what. And yeah, that's my experience, I guess. Very grateful.
Perfect.
Thank you.
Thank you, Opal. I want to call from our side, Trisha Leopona. You got to introduce yourself, sister.
Hi, my name is Trisha Leopoono. I'm representing the Hawaiian Islands. I'm on Oahu right now.
And then, Trisha, your question is, what inspired you to become involved in peer support?
What inspired me to get involved with peer support is at the time when this whole program was developing, I was in and out of my addiction. I just got released from prison maybe about 2 years, not even 2 years out, and I had relapsed. And I was going through like a really hard time, just totally full on back in my old ways. And at the time, one of my sisters that I did time with, she was a peer support specialist working for Pūʻā Foundation. And she contacted me and she was like, you know what, just come, just get on board, just start showing up to our meetings and our training. At first, it was called Women Supporting Women, just women who came out of prison, helping each other, just try and stay clean and sober and on the right track. And so I started to come around, I started to hang out, and I started to see that, you know, if my sister could do it, if my sister, you know, could do it and stay clean, and then I could. It inspired me and encouraged me to that, you know, that I could make it. So I just started, you know, coming around, and when the training happened, and then I was assigned a peer, I realized that everything that I had ever went through and all of the trauma that I had faced, when I met my first peer, I knew that at that moment, I knew that all that stuff that I had went through wasn't for no reason, that now I had a purpose. And so now I have 2 peers. I just got my second one, and the reward is just so fulfilling. Like Sandra and the rest of my sisters said, you know, there's no price tag on it. There's no, nothing that money can buy.
Perfect. Thank you, Trisha. I'm gonna go ahead and call Matt Taufate'e. Come on down, Matt Taufate'e. Please introduce yourself.
Hi, I'm Matthew Taufate'e, the Executive Director of First Lab and Peacemakers.
And the question, you want, what makes peer support services different from other types of services?
What makes it different is, I believe, the one-on-one that you have with your mentor, because I believe that's what really transformed my life. You know, we talk about trauma to transformation, you know, these group of men who was unheard of reached out to me. So they mentored me back in 1996. You know, I've been out of prison a little over 20 years now, you know, and it's because these men mentored me to believing in myself compared to the trauma I was living, you know, addicted to drugs, alcohol, joining gangs, getting involved in criminal activities to where I ended up almost killed a man. A year later, I fought with a man. I took his life. You know, so I was tried for murder. You know, 3 months later, the family retaliated and they killed my older brother. So me living with that guilt for many years, not knowing how to overcome, you know, something as tragic as that, you know, I always turned to drugs and alcohol. So that was the life of living. You know, for me, I never really believed in that until this group of men came and they sat down with me and they would hear and share their stories, you know, and that's what made me open to wanting to learn more, because a lot of these men that came out, I never believed that, you know, they coming from a church, but they had that background same as I was, the abuse, the addiction and so forth. So that gave me that hope to where I wanted to do the same, and I can say I'm blessed today because my life was totally transformed to where I can now help people. So in 2002, I formed an organization called First Life After Prison. So I've been housing and mentoring men, coming out of prison for a little over 18 years. So I'm blessed to be a part of, Pūʻā Foundation and just trying to help more people, in need, men in prison, getting released, so that's the joy that I have today, thanks to, learning everything through our partnership with Pūʻā Foundation.
Yay! Yay, Matt! Yay, Matt Tapate. And you guys, like, we had 9 women, and that's Matt. Yay! So
It's time for a break. We're a little early, but I wanted to hit it before you got to your next person.
Okay, perfect. So we're gonna talk to the Pilo girls after we come back.
Yes. All right. So we're gonna go ahead and do a 10-minute break, everybody. We will see you in 10.
Thank you.
Oh, yeah.
I know.
Yeah.
All right, I would want to welcome everybody back from break and turn the presentation back over to Toni.
Hi again, can you hear me? Okay, great. So we're gonna go and travel to Hawaii Island and shout out to our sisters from there. Kehao Fontes, can you introduce yourself, please?
Hi, I'm Kehal Fontes. I'm from the Big Island of Hawaii and part of Women Supporting Women. Hi.
Kehao, so what inspired you to become, no, I'm gonna ask you this question.
Okay.
How does lived experience contribute to services offered, like peer support services that are offered? Lived experience.
Okay. I feel lived experience has made a huge difference, especially when you're dealing with peers in the community, which can be your own children, can be your friend's child, can just be just somebody in the community, your neighbor. I truly believe that lived experiences makes a big difference. So after the training that we went to at Chaminade University, we've been doing a lot of peer work. My sisters and I, some to include assisting, helping, reaching out, just meeting people where they're at. You know, so one of them, for instance, you know, I just like to share a little testimony. One, for instance, was my own son. You know, hard time to reach out. And there was something that was said at that Chaminade training that we went to, that Jessica said, wouldn't you want, so it's part of harm reduction, wouldn't you want to see your son live the best life, even if it's his end? So that really got me. And so when I came back home, I tried working with my son. I mean, the communication has gotten so much better when I realized, when I started meeting him where he was at. You know, it made a huge difference. And meeting him where he was at, he ended up talking much more nicely to me. I didn't have to yell and scream and all the other stuff. I actually worked on my own self and the way I communicated with him. And things have gotten so much better, where he made a decision to go to the methadone clinic. So I supported him, got him into the methadone clinic, which was a big, huge, you know, harm reduction. You know, I went to harm reduction trainings, you know, skilled in harm reduction, but to actually reach out and do the work, it is a lot, you know. So to hook them up with the methadone and then transport them there every single day, you know, it was him and his girlfriend. And through that, they had a baby. They had twin babies just recently. And the babies were actually born negative because of that, because I reached out and I started taking them to that clinic. But they're both now currently in BISAC treatment. They're starting their first visitation with their twins this past weekend. So they're on the road to recovery. And I'm just so happy for that. You know, and I truly believe that this lived experiences has actually shown me, you know, of course with all my prayers, has actually shown me how to deal with it in a much better way than I have in the past. So, you know, even instances like me and Wendy were sharing yesterday about all the peer work that we've been doing. And, you know, Michelle, we've been just sharing and, you know, just reaching out to my own neighbor dealing with schizophrenia, with the mom coming across the street. And after a couple of months of, you know, dealing with him, she said, oh, he's doing so much better, you know, and I'm like, wow, you know, I reached out to somebody on schizophrenia, you know, but it's just about meeting people where they're at. It's just about no judgment, you know, having true total compassion with a sincere heart, you know. And I truly believe that by continuing this, I can probably reach out to, not probably, I know I'll reach out to many. Thank you.
Awesome. Wendy Akau.
Yay! Yay! Aloha
mic, Kako. Aloha, everybody.
And here's a question for you, Wendy.
Okay.
What makes peer support services different from other types of services?
Okay, so for me, I feel that, you know, with my own trials and tribulations through addiction and going to the peer support groups and getting certified, it makes me realize that there's more than just addiction in the community. You know, a lot of times I just dealt with meth addiction and substance abuse and alcoholism, and you know, those are the types of people that I grew up with, criminality. But after the peer training, what I realized was mental health is a big issue. And I don't only see it, you know, at home, but at work with my employees and also others in the community. So like Kehao, I have a story also where I've been supporting my boss's daughter who suffers from addiction and mental health issues. So this has been an ongoing thing for years and years and years. And, you know, she cannot help herself, but it's just something that she goes through on a daily basis because she cannot control her thoughts. So sitting with her and supporting her through it all, I mean, hours and hours and days, but it gives me such gratitude to know that she reaches out to me because I've been there, I've done that. And that's what makes this group, our sisterhood, so special, is because we're all in the same canoe. We're all paddling for a better future. And we're not letting our past define what the future holds for us. So I love the fact that, you know, peer support has become a big part of our lives and our daily, just what we do every day. We run into people all day, every day in the community with issues, and being a solution, not the problem, like I said earlier, in helping them. And what a great gift to give somebody to support them through hard times and issues that they no longer know how to deal with.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Aloha.
Michelle,
Of our view.
Can you introduce yourself, Michelle?
Hi, my name is Michelle Kobayashi, and I'm from the Big Island.
And here's your question, Michelle. What inspired you to become involved in peer support?
So I believe it's my sisters right here, Kehao and Wendy. They were once pushing me to better myself, but mostly because of my daughter, Tiari, who is stuck in her addiction at this time. She had been in an abusive relationship when I got out of prison. Since then, her addiction had gotten really bad, as to where she has become suicidal and running havoc. I've seen myself in her, and so from then on, my passion was to help others coming out of incarceration or dealing with drug addiction, domestic violence, and who's also suicidal.
Awesome, Michelle. Thank you so much. I guess at this point, I'm gonna just thank you everybody for sharing. What we're gonna do is we're gonna show our second video.
Okay.
Okay, so that was our portion about sharing, and we're actually going to go into this next section, which it talks a little bit about what you see on your screen is our re-entry partnership collaborative. We have this partnership that we're working on towards that include incarceration to independence. It's a continuum. And we're setting up our work that we do at the prison, connecting to community organizations that focus on housing, transitional housing, short-term, long-term, and then more so in permanency. And looking at this strategy to really incorporate peer support along with case management and therapeutic services in a very strategic and aligned way. And we're actually humbled by all of the work. We've learned so much from those that have shared in Oregon. And here in Hawaii, we're developing and trying really hard to be of service. I'm honored to be able to share with you and introduce 3 of my colleagues. I'm going to call up Debbie Victor, Cheryl Puna, and Sandy Belize is on the line too, and she'll go ahead and unmute herself, and they'll go ahead and share a little bit about some administrative and housing partnerships that's been going on. Debbie.
Aloha everyone, I'm Debbie Victor. I work at the Pūʻā Foundation, as well as one of the administrative team members for our peer support program. Working at the Pūʻā Foundation has really taught me how to become more deeply compassionate in the population that we serve. To organize and implement the infrastructure of our peer support program has allowed us to schedule monthly meetings prior to our peer support getting assigned to a peer, to discuss and further plan out how we were going to approach this, and to really define who our housing partners were going to be within the community, because they really service our men and women coming out of prison. So one of the things that that came to mind is that we all have gifts. And so coming from a 30-year background as a program director for the YMCA of Honolulu and national trainer in various programs, being in the foundation for 8 years, my gift, I believe, is training and personal and professional development. And so one of the things that we have incorporated within our administrative team was really to take a look at how to build upon all of our justice involved men and women in the area of professionalism, providing effective communication skills, as well as planning and leadership development. And so we're still working on that, but we feel that as all of our peer supports are applying what they've learned so far in working with their peers, that we are all growing. We're all growing in that area. It's allowed us to also build relationships with our housing partners, to build a more deeper connection with them, to get to know them, so that really in Hawaii, so since we're such a small island, it's really about becoming family. And so we have one of our housing partners here today that will be sharing with us a little bit about their experience with our peer support program. And that we're hoping in the very near future that we'll be also connecting with another housing partner that we can also expand into servicing their women as well. For myself, it's been a tremendous growing experience for me, not only as an administrator, but also to take a look at the type of tools that we can provide for our peer supports as they move into the direction of professionalism in this type of field, so that it can be a viable way of employment, not only for them, but as an example to others that they serve. To also be a solution finder for our housing partners, that they should know that they're not alone, that there are people out there that want to support them on their need to house our men and women, but to also provide extra support for them. And then for myself, is just to be open to be a part of the solution. So I'm very grateful for this experience. It's not only enhanced my life forever, but through all the gifts that people have shared with me. Someone once shared in our discussion earlier that, you know, it's a each one teach one. And so I live by that every day, and that I continue to learn and grow, and that hopefully we can spread among all of our islands and all of our families so our communities can be stronger. So at this point, I'd like to introduce Sandy Belize, who's a part of our administrative team as well. Sandy?
Aloha, I'm Sandy Belize, and I have the pleasure as a volunteer administrative coordinator to assist our peer supports in meeting certification requirements. To become a certified forensic peer specialist, peer supports must complete a minimum of 120 hours with field placement agencies and our housing partners. This internship is where the practical application of the skills that were learned in their initial 40-hour training, where that takes place. It's skill development in real life. And my role is to track and record these hours performed by each peer support. In this time of a pandemic, contacts and conversations with assigned peers happen through a combination of text messages, telephone calls, and emails. There have also been safe face-to-face meetings arranged at the beach or various outdoor venues. One of our housing partners, and you'll meet Cheryl here in just a moment, will be hosting an event for the peer and peer support for lei making, providing a cultural activity for them to connect, talk story, and create beauty together. Time spent with their peer is logged on a timesheet, noting the date of the encounter, the type, whether it was virtual, in person, the length of the meeting, and a notation of which of the 8 dimensions of wellness were addressed during their time together. Once a month, peer supports text me a copy of their timesheet with the new entries, and I record the new hours and maintain a running total for each peer support. Debbie receives my updated spreadsheet and includes it in her monthly report to our housing partners. The running totals are shared with our peer supports at our monthly forensic peer support meeting. In closing, it is a privilege to do this small task in support of the tremendous work that our peer supports do, helping their peers find their bearing at such a pivotal time in their life. Mahalo.
Hi, sorry. Thank you so much, Sandy. I'm going to go ahead and call up Cheryl Pūʻā, and she's going to share a little bit from our partnership with Transitional Housing Program. Cheryl.
So, hi, my name is Cheryl Pūʻā. I'm the house administrator for Betty's Place. Betty's Place is a recovery residence for women and their children in Hawaii on the west side of the island of Oahu. We've been in operation going on 4 years next month. We're mainly a 2-woman operation. There is an outreach specialist / temporary house manager / unofficial case manager, and me. I make sure the doors stay open and the lights stay on. I take care of the minutia of the business. So we strive to provide a safe, clean, healthy place for women in recovery and their children. Our hope for them is that when they leave our house, they are in a better position when they arrive. Having said that, for the first couple of years, we kind of struggled. We didn't have a model to follow, but we knew we were doing something right because doors kept opening for us. One of those doors led to the Pūʻā Foundation. Having heard of us through the women that they serve at the Women's Community Correctional Center, Debbie Victor came to visit us. She sat with us, and as Hawaiians say, to kuka kuka, or talk story. We got to know one another and just connected. The initial connection led us to be invited to the peer support training that was sponsored by the Pūʻā Foundation. I attended the week-long training myself and the graduation ceremony that topped it off. It was a life-changing experience for myself. Although I don't have the life experience to become a peer support specialist myself, I now have the knowledge of what it takes to be one and how valuable it will be to the women that they help. For us, peer specialists have been a game changer in our house. The women have reaped the benefits of connection with the women, with this first group that I trained with. We have seen firsthand the impact that this peer specialists have had on them. We have seen their emotional and their mental growth and how that has positively impacted other areas of their life. It was a missing piece that further enabled us in the goal of helping women in recovery. We are excited to see the growth of the women at Betty's Place and their peer specialists, and excited to see what the future brings for us. Thank you.
Thank you, Cheryl. She's awesome. So I guess with that, we're open to questions, Jessica, or comments or thoughts. We so appreciate everybody's patience with us as we shared a little bit about our experience here in Hawaii.
No, yes, great. Thank you so much, Toni. That was fantastic. So I've been kind of monitoring the chat box, and I just want to, again, invite anyone who has any questions or comments to go ahead and put those in the chat box. And so our first question is, each one teach one. What exactly does that mean?
I guess in our training, in our training and our experience in the work that we've done, I actually initially heard that when we went to California, and they do a lot of work at the, gosh, what was that? It was an Embarcadero, it was another program, and they were providing some support in various programming to transition from prison into community. And they would always talk a little bit about each one, teach one. And so we use that phrase to really kind of share experiences. But I'll just share a Hawaiian word that's called a'o. It's kea'o, e okina o, which is a process in which you learn and teach at the same time. So we have a very deep perspective about how that is. I mean, so each one, teach one kind of refers to that. Thanks for the question. Jessica, you're muted.
I am, you're right. Someday I'll remember to unmute myself. Thank you so much. So the next question I have is, how is Aloha Spirit part of peer support?
I'm gonna, Kimmy Takata, I'm gonna punt that question to you. Kimmy Takata, do you want to give it a shot about the Aloha Spirit and Jessica's question?
What was the question, Jessica?
Hi, Kimmy. Yeah, the question is, how is Aloha Spirit part of peer support?
Oh my gosh, that is part of everything that we do in Hawaii, for real. Aloha is like just love, taking care of people, just hugging and just sharing our Aloha Spirit. It's something that we do every single day. And I feel like Aloha it's just a welcoming spirit. That's what it is, we welcome everybody, no judgment, no, we just want to, it's everything to us. It's love, it's support, it's everything. And so in Hawaii, we also say aloha, aloha ikikahi, ikikahi, and that means love one another, or aloha malama ikikahi, ikikahi. That means to take care of everyone around you. But yeah. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you for the answer to that question. All right. I have another question. How are peers treated in the professional workplace? And what is the pay scale there? Here in Southern Oregon, it tends to be a bit low, but we are working to foster peer support as a professional discipline.
Wow. That is a great question. Yep. Can you hear me okay? That's a great question. In terms of the development of professionalism, we're really working hard at workforce development and having a livable wage. And I'll just underscore how expensive it is in Hawaii. So there's no kind of set rate. We're really working hard to develop that professionalism and earn a livable wage in these various times. Partnerships and the work that we're trying to do in this area and highlighting all of our men and women who are really taking the time to develop the leadership necessary. We in Hawaii have a long way to go. Just in terms of how we're looking at it from a nonprofit perspective and really kind of paying the scale between, you know, $17 to $20 an hour kind of thing. And that's just in the community generally. Working with other agencies at hospitals, Department of Public Safety, Department of Human Services, all of this, to our knowledge, is trying to develop a lot more. And in Hawaii, to be quite honest, we have a long road to go. So being part of Peer Apocalypse, being part of Peer Link, learning so much from the Mental Health Association of Oregon, we have been inspired, and we're on this path and we're committed. So that's kind of what we're trying to work on here in Hawaii.
Thank you, Toni. Our next question is, do you offer any peer support training, groups, workshops, such as Peer Zone or Intentional Peer Support or Smart Recovery?
Yep, thanks for the question. And I'll just give a shout out in terms of what we are trying to do at the Pūʻā Foundation. Hawaii has a history of the leadership from the Department of Health here in Hawaii that does run a peer training program. So trying to really develop this and get into this from the perspective of justice involvement has inspired us. So, and I guess just staying with iStance, we really, in walking the walk and working in the prisons and seeing the talent and the genius that exists and providing opportunities for second chances. And again, professional leadership development in this area has kind of been what we at the foundation and those that we work with specialize in. So the development, and again, just a shout out to Jessica, who's been inspiring to us and sharing her knowledge with us as we build more and more the professional and vocation of peer supports, especially for those with justice involvement here in Hawaii. Again, I just want to underscore that we're really working hard to develop this area. Hope that kind of answered the question.
Yeah, and if you don't mind, I would just like to say that, like you said, Hawaii has had one state certified training that was not at all culturally relevant for the indigenous people in Hawaii. So what we were able to do was mesh a solid peer support training, which, PeerLink provided, and the Pūʻā Foundation provided the cultural expertise, and we were able to get that certified through the Department of Health. And PeerLink's role is always to, help create and then hand over. And so they will be taking this now certified training that's appropriate for Native Hawaiian culture, and they will be able to move this training forward, if that makes sense. Yay. All right, so I have another question. How many peers do you work with who grew up in Hawaii in relation to people who came from the mainland or other places? I guess we're looking for a rough percentage for both populations.
Well, that's an interesting question. I mean, if I look at our group, because after our training on Hawaii Island and here, we're really focusing on the local community. So for instance, at Betty's place, and I'll just ask Cheryl, are your residents local from here?
They are all local.
Yeah, so working with our partners, we've actually been focusing on our local community and really have not had the opportunity at this point to work with people from the mainland. Thanks for the question.
Yeah. It looks like there will be somebody who will be near you in October, and looking forward to see how you are able to link peer support and the cultural aspect.
Oh.
All right. Yeah, so cool. I don't see any more questions. So if you all have something else you want to say?
I just really wanted to do a shout out to Jessica and Janie. All of us have learned so much from you folks. We give our gratitude, like my colleague Debbie Victor said, this work has really changed our lives, and all of us, we're so grateful for the opportunity to present and just journey on this journey with you folks. If it's okay, Jessica, what I'd like to do, I'd like to give a shout out to the folks over at Kimmy, Sai, Jackson, Opa, Auntie Trini. If you guys want to say any last words or comments, then we'll ask any last thoughts from our sisters on Hawaii Island. Then I'll give the opportunity for the folks in my space here to just kind of give our mahalos and some last thoughts. Kimmy, can you facilitate on your side from where you're located?
Do you guys have any last thoughts?
No, just aloha. Just aloha, you guys, and have a very blessed day. And thank you for giving us the opportunity to bring a little bit of Hawaii to Oregon.
How you guys want to shout out from Hawaii Island? Any last comments?
Hi. We thank you folks so much, Janie and Jessica. We're just looking forward to the next training. Is it in August, Toni?
Yep.
Awesome.
And how, Michelle or Wendy, do you guys have any last comments to our friends of Oregon or on this call?
Yes. So we just like to thank everybody for joining. And, you know, like I said earlier, we're all in this together. And, you know, peer support has become a community issue. And when we first started out, you know, back in the days when I used to get trouble, we never had this kind of support out in the community. And we appreciate the fact that it is there and we can help others now to bring the recidivism down. So, you know, it works for everyone, and just being a part of gives us great gratitude to be a part of this group.
It's like it's almost becoming a lifestyle.
It is.
Awesome. Michelle, any last thoughts, Michelle?
I just wanted to say thank you. I'm grateful for you all.
Thank you, our sisters from
Hello.
Hawaii. Okay, and I just want to shout out to our community right in this space. Do you guys want to kind of say anything?
I do.
From Trisha.
I just wanted to say thank you to Toni, Debbie, Carol, and to all the people that supported me and my sisters and Matt, because it takes people to believe in us to be able to do what we're doing. And if it wasn't for the warden and for Pūʻā Foundation, you know, to take the time out to believe in us, and Jessica and Jamie, you know, to take the time out to believe in us and to invest in us, we wouldn't be able to do what we're doing out in the community. So we want to thank all of you guys and just bringing this peer support training to us and giving us that opportunity to be able to attend. So thank you so much.
Thanks.
Thank you, Trisha. What about now?
Something real quick. You know, my motto, the motto of our church is reaching people, touching lives. And this is what I see peer support doing. Yeah, is reaching people, touching lives, not being judgmental and just listening to the person to hear what they'll be going through as those who have listened to me. So I just want to thank you guys for continuing to support us, you know, in believing in ourselves. Thank you.
Cheryl and Deb?
Aloha. I just wanted to say to all those who came and signed up for this workshop with us from Hawaii, thank you, thank you, thank you for being a part of our new family and getting a glimpse of what we are trying to accomplish here in Hawaii. We are a small island in the middle of the Pacific Ocean, but we are mighty. We are a mighty wave, and we plan to continue to carry on this mission of ours so that we can truly have everybody living the Aloha spirit in the way that we should be. We totally believe in it, but there are people that need a little bit more Aloha than others. So thank you for being a part of our presentation today. Wow.
Cheryl?
So what I want to say is thank you to the Pūʻā Foundation. We, on the other hand, they are all peer support, and I and our house, see the benefit of it, and we can't shout it from the rooftops. We know how much this works, and we appreciate it, and we see the value in it, and I hope that the rest of Hawaii will jump on board, because this is, like I said, this is a game changer. It's going to help so many people on so many different levels, and we are excited to be a part of it and grateful for it also. Thank you.
Can I ask Sandy if you want to just share a little of Aloha?
Again, I'm just grateful to be a part of Pūʻā Foundation, Oahu Going Home, and this wonderful group of peer supporters. They're awesome. Thank you.
Well, thank you everyone for this time. Thank you for sharing this time together, and from our ohana to yours. We are grateful for this opportunity as we learn from each other. May everyone be well and stay safe, and thank you so much for the opportunity. Jessica.
Yes, thank you everyone, and I hope you enjoy the rest of our virtual conference. Have a great afternoon.